Did Bard finally make itself very useful? Maybe. So let's quickly talk about some updates to Google's new Bard interface. Before we get started, real quick, let's talk about what this is. So my name's Jordan Wilson, and I created Everyday AI. So we're a daily live stream podcast and free newsletter helping everyday people understand and actually use AI. And this is AI in 5, where we try to learn something new about an AI in 5 minutes. So without further ado, let's talk about these new updates to Bard. All right. So here's the biggest difference. The interface is completely updated and revamped. So, one of the biggest reasons that I even personally didn't like to use Bard, even though the prospects of it are great, is because you couldn't save your chats. And now you'll see with this new interface, they are saved, which is great. That alone, right there, means that I'm going to start using Bard on a more consistent basis. Another very important thing to note, if you're not familiar, so many of these, chats, these large language models are based off of GPT. So some of them are kind of the same. So as an example, you know, uh, ChatGPT and Bing Chat are both based off of GPT. Bard, Google's Bard, is based off of its own large language model, Palm 2. So let's get that out of the way and let's just see. So let's just do an example here. So tell me a little about your everydayai.com. So this is just to show you kind of how Bard works if you've never seen it. So it is connected to the internet, but it does not always do great with internet browsing. So you'll see here, it summarizes youreverydayai.com fairly well. But the good thing now, so let's say I start another chat. And I'm going to say, let's go to new chat. What is today's date? So you'll see now I have this here that I can go in and I can rename. And let's just say this is about youreverydayai.com now. So I click rename and now I can go back to that chat. I don't know why it took Google so long. Because what you should be doing anytime you're working with a large language model like Bard, like ChatGPT, Bing Chat, whatever, you are essentially, when you are going back and forth, you are training, in a way, you are training that specific chat to get better outputs. So if you can't go back to it, at least for me, Bard was kind of useless. So that's one big update that's worth noting. Obviously, the other ones is Bard is now available in, I think, most of the EU by now, Brazil. So they released Bard to a lot of other countries. And let's just talk about two other things real quick, two other new Bard pieces. So one, you might not even be able to see it here, but there's actually a listen button. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear with my mic, but let's give it a try.
Link to your everydayai.com is a website and podcast that aims to help people understand and use artificial intelligence (AI) in their everyday lives. The website features articles, videos.
All right, so you don't need to hear the whole thing. Hopefully, the mic picked that up, but that piece right alone is great. That is great. So many times I like to listen. One thing I'd like to see Google Bard do is give you options to go, 1.5x or 2x. At least for me, for a decade, I've been listening to almost everything on 2x. So to listen to things at normal speed is a little mundane for me. I hope even if you're watching this, you're watching me on 2x. So that piece is brand new. So new countries, being able to save and name chats is huge. Having that little volume button, huge. So even that, you don't have that by default in ChatGPT. The other thing, let's see down here. So you can obviously always say bad response, good response, modify response. Here's another thing. You can say shorter, longer, simpler, different tone. That's great. And I actually really like the user interface. So I just shortened it. Now let's make it more casual. That's a great piece. So you can obviously do that in ChatGPT, but you have to type a command, right? So that takes time. I think large language models are all about getting the most out of something in a short amount of time. So new features down there that you can make it shorter, longer, change the tone. Also, you can share this. That's huge. It took ChatGPT a while to offer that functionality. It's good that now Bard has that. So for teams, this is great as well, where you can kind of work, quote unquote, work on a chat, build up a knowledge base, teach it how to write like you, whatever you're trying to do, and then you can share it with someone else on your team. It's great that that's finally in Bard. Last but not least, the ability to upload files and chat with them. So I just saved a random photo here on the internet, and it's a dog. So I'm gonna say, what is this breed of dog? All right. So we'll give Bart a second. It's the cutest dog. Who doesn't want a good little boy like that? Um, so it says, based on the image you sent me, the breed of dog is most likely a golden retriever. Okay. So you can upload, essentially, it's just images now. But what's great about all of these new updates to Bard is it's finally going into this multi media step, right? So with one click, being able to upload photo, video, or photos, that's great. Being able to listen to responses, that's great. And it's more collaborative. Bard is making itself finally useful, where I can go back in and pick up on old chats where I left off, and I can share those chats with my team. So finally, Bard is useful. Google Bard is useful. Make sure to check it out, especially if you're a power ChatGPT user, because all of these things that you're doing in ChatGPT now, copy and paste, put them over in Bard. You can be running these things simultaneously now that you can go back and reference them. And again, remember, Bard is its own model. So you're going to get sometimes worse, sometimes better, or at least a varied experience. So that's it for today's AI in 5. Check out the new updates in Google Bard. Subscribe, send me a comment, let me know what you think.